Hello everybody, thank you for tuning in. My name is Jordan Robinson. I'm a local emerging curator and a supporter of Greenhill. And I have here with me is Darlene McClinton. She's one of the 10 artists that are currently shown at the Stephen Tanger Center of Performing Arts. Darlene, thank you so much for your time. For the sake of it, let's go straight to the questions. So Darlene McClinton graduated from Brinsley High School and then later from A&T and is currently a local artist here as well as a member of Arts Greensboro. And she's currently a professor and was working on her doctorate at UNCG and currently teaches at A&T while also being a business owner for our local art store now event center called the Arts Block. Darlene, thank you so much for being here. It's really a pleasure. Out of respect of time, I want to jump straight into the questions.
Okay.
So, with all that's been going on, and in relation to your painting, which is currently exhibited at the center, how have these major events, from COVID-19 to Black Lives Matter to other protests, how has this impacted you as a person, as a creative, and as an artist?
I would say COVID-19 really has impacted me as an artist and as an entrepreneur. The ways that I was impacted is it was days when I woke up, I was happy, it was days that I was sad, I lost a few public art gigs, whether they've been postponed. It was hard for me I was so used to living a normal routine and doing A, B, C, and D, and when COVID-19 began, it was kind of like my whole life stopped. And it was hard for me to think creatively and think about what I need to do as far as creating works of art. And then the protests happened. I'm like, oh Lord, this is happening during COVID-19. It's a whole entire pandemic, globally, and we're dealing with racism. But I will say that even though the protests had all these things, these occurrences that started to take place, it's kind of sparked something in us as artists to get out and speak our voice. It gave us new visions, new ideas to paint, create, express ourselves. So when we're stuck, we were kind of having an artist block during COVID-19, but now I'm ready, rejuvenated to paint, create, do public art. Even with this work of art here, which is called I Am, it deals with identity. So I did a whole series in graduate school called Bridging the Gap between generations and purpose. And what I was telling people through the work of art is everything that happened now is happening then, and life is repeating itself. And in 2020, this pandemic has happened before, way back with the Spanish flu and the coronavirus happened in the 1900s. And also, we are dealing with Black Lives Matter. I mean, this is a recurring topic, but it's just, we dealt with it in the 60s, we dealt with it in the 70s. So this work of art that we're looking at here really symbolizes identity. And that's what we're dealing with. People are being killed by the color of their skin. That deals with identity.
And then in all of this, turmoil, how can the arts and its institutions and other artists, through what we do, how can we better help our communities and maybe make a better impact, socially speaking?
From an artist standpoint, I believe that all of us as artists can continue to create imagery that speaks on taboo topics. Creating imagery that speaks on what's happening in our community. We are documenting, we're visually documenting what's happening right now in this moment. And I think that we should continue to do that because that's our gift to the world, is to create visually and speak visual language to people through symbols. So one of the public arts that I created on Tri-Stage is a flag. And I deliberately chose to do symbolism because everybody may not understand the written language. Everyone may not understand certain images. But if you put a little bit of pop art in your symbolism, everybody understands popular culture. and what's happening. It's a universal language. So I think institutions, artists, we need to just continue to make a stand, be united, be conscious and aware of what we're doing, what we're saying, and put out imagery that uplifts the Black community as well. I remember Michael Hilbert, you know him, and one of his things that he studied at Howard University when he was getting his master's is when he looked up black or black woman, the word black, it was like a lot of horses popped up. So he realized there wasn't a lot of images, positive images of Black men, positive images of Black women. So he did a whole work of art just dealing with Black women in that light. So I think we need more uplifting images as well to add to our repertoire.
Agreed. And then with that, in the process of this, you know, what resources would you recommend for anyone who wants to take part in this, to uplift these communities and make sure these voices are heard and told?
One of the resources that I would like to offer is, I never knew this, I know you may have, but I never understood the power of an arts council. Based off my research, there's 75 art councils in the state of North Carolina. Wow.
Yeah.
That's huge. And it's 5 major arts councils. So what I would like to do is create a Zoom meeting, dialogue, collaborative, some type of group where people are logging on and I'm giving them the resources to find funding. I think that during this time with COVID, everybody lost money, businesses were shut down, my business has been shut down personally since March. The governor just moved the date back to June 26th, so I don't really know when venues will be allowed to open back up, maybe not this year, but right now I think it's important to focus on resources, where you're placing your money, and how to receive resources so that you can continue to do whatever you feel like you need to do, but continue to create art, continue to create public art. So those are the resources that I would like to offer the community, is helping artists and young professionals locate and allocate funding to fund their dreams, because the Arts Council has a lot of funding and people don't know about it. And it's money that's out there that needs to be, all you have to do is apply. So people have always been, I was talking to Janine Squid, and she said that she was always intimidated to apply for a grant at Arts Greensboro because she thought she had to do a lot of work. No, I mean, you have to document your work, you do have to have clear imagery. So that's important, but you just simply apply, put your name, your address, your website, your work samples, what are you going to do with the money, how is the funding that you're receiving from your arts council, how is that going to impact the community? And we as artists, we've been doing that every day, we just never knew we could receive funding from it. So all these starving artists really don't have to starve anymore, they just need to take an hour out of their day to sit there and apply for funding, not just in Greensboro, but in Fayetteville, and Winston-Salem, and Durham, and Raleigh, which is a very big market in Raleigh. And you can apply because they have regional artist grants. You can apply for all of them. And people have applied for grants just to study abroad and study more art. Musicians are applying for grants and being able to buy things to be able to do recitals and compositions of different things like that. So that's the resource I would really offer the community right now.
We appreciate you sharing that. I do want to circle back on your responses to the earlier question. You made a statement about, you know, where we are now, what we're currently dealing with identity. And I, just from looking at this piece, I get a feeling that this does speak loudly to that. Is there anything that you'd like to share in addition to this, or maybe how this is further tied to it? Because I feel like this is super relevant.
What a lot of people don't know about me is I was adopted. My mother died at the age of 32. My father was incarcerated. Originally from South Bronx, New York, I was raised here. But I grew up with a family that we didn't look alike because it wasn't my biological mother. Also, I went to all predominantly white schools, middle school, high school. I went to North Carolina A&T State University, and I never understood color. I never understood race. I just seen people as who they were. So what that means is I didn't understand who I am And even when I went to A&T, I still was walking around not realizing I was a black woman, because A&T doesn't really push so much for people to start writing on their identity. But when I moved to DC and went to Howard University, it was a big thing. And I started researching and reading a lot of books and started understanding how ignorant, I was on several different topics. So this piece kind of represents me finding my voice as a human being, as a black woman in America, as a black American artist, and just knowing who I am as a person. So this piece also represents, no matter what people say about me or you or any of us, this piece is called I Am. I am everything that you say that I am. And I stand with it very boldly, and I'm very proud. I also use the colors gold because Professor Leander Kennedy from A&T, he used to say in your portfolio you need to have one self-portrait so that the schools and institutions and galleries can see how you see yourself. So that always stuck with me, so I painted myself gold because I felt like anything I touch turns to gold, which means that I feel like I have great influence on myself to be successful and others around me. So that's why I painted myself in gold. And then I did the complementing colors, and it's in Andy Warhol style because he is a great influence on my body of work, especially during that time. So
nice. And then there's a couple other things, because I do actually remember it, because I think this was shown at the Civil Rights Museum too,
Right.
a while back. And there was some connections between that and a few iconic figures as well. I think Malcolm X was how he has his hand placed on his head. There was another one of you, like he was on this sort of throne.
Yes.
Yes.
And the Malcolm X picture that I'm referring to is a photograph of him sitting there with his glasses on, thinking and contemplating. So that's why I do have the finger in this piece. And then the other is a triptych, and then the other side of this piece is Andy Warhol. And I did this juxtapose of text and colors, but I put Andy Warhol, I call him a genius. And then behind it, people really can't see it, but it's his famous quote, good business is the best art, making money is art, working is art, and good business is the best art, is Andy Warhol's quote in the back. And the reason why I did that is because a lot of people criticize Andy Warhol. If you research Andy Warhol, he's not an artist. He's doing images of soup cans, but he was documenting how commercialized the world was transforming into. So that's what happened. There wasn't grocery stores, and then when Andy Warhol became an artist, there were grocery stores. So I think he's a fascinating artist. I really do.
Wonderful. Well, that's all I really had. Again, thank you so much, Darlene, for tuning in, or for your time and thought. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We hope to carry a conversation, a much larger conversation amongst the community.
Keep art alive. Keep art alive.
Thank you.